All right, fractions and a whole number division. How can you divide fractions by solving a related multiplication sentence? So this is really going to show you how using multiplication to figure out the division problem and how that simplifies dividing a fraction. So 3 friends share 1/4 pound package of beads equally. So we had this whole package, but as all that's left is 1/4. So this is all we get of the package. And we're dividing that into 3 equal parts. So I'm going to divide it by 3 equal parts, but here's the part that you have to remember. What I did in this box, even though those aren't here, we have to be equal in all of them. So I have to divide the whole package into 3 equal parts. Each chunk. I'm only getting one of these because that's all that's left. So if I shade in, I'm going to shade in 1/3 of that. I'm getting this one. So all I'm really doing is 1/4 divided by 3 equals 1/3 times 1/4, because I'm taking it 1/3 times each group, which is 1/12. So I got one part out of how many parts when I broke this all up? 12. So I got 1/12 part. Now, if you have any questions, stop and ask that now. All right, and I know my answer is going to be a fraction because my dividend was a fraction to start with. All right, Brian has 9 pounds of ground turkey to make turkey burgers for a picnic. How many 1/3 pound turkey burgers can he make? All right, I've got 9 pounds, so I'm going to draw 9 squares. I'm going to break them into thirds because each pound, I'm going to use 1/3 of it for a turkey burger. So I divided each into thirds. When you divided the 9 rectangles into thirds, there you're finding the number of thirds in 9 rectangles, or finding 9 groups of 3. There are 27 thirds. So 9 divided by 1/3 is the same thing as 1/3 times, or 9 times 3 equals 27. And I started with a whole number in my dividend. I'm going to end up with a greater whole number on my divisor, just like what we talked about in the last unit. And I'm using multiplication. So let's move on. And it says here, it wants you to look at this example and explain to your partner how this can be 1/2 times 1/4 equals 1/8. So I want you to take that time, and I want you to explain, one of you to explain this one to your partner and one to explain this one. You don't have to write anything down if you explain it. I would love, if I'm not busy, to come over and listen to your explanation. All right, we're back, and I will explain how I look at this. I had this piece and I cut it into 4ths because I had 1/4 and I divided that 1/4 into 2 equal parts. And remember, what I do to one part of the 4th, I have to do the rest. I'm only having one of those pieces. So how much did I get? I got 1 out of how many pieces were there all together? 1/8. On this one, I had 4 equal pieces, so I did 4 and I divided them in half, so that means I took 4 times 2 because I had 2 equal groups of 4, and I got 8. And I knew my number would be a whole number because my dividend was a whole number. All right, I would like you to do this with your partner, discuss it. How would you do it again? Just to make sure, this time do the opposite. If you started off with this one, I want your partner to explain this one, and that you to do this one. All right. On here, on this sheet, you're just going to write or draw a picture, but you can just write a multiplication to help you with this. So 2 divided by 1/4 is the same thing as 2 times 4, which is 8. So what would you do here? I have 1/9 times how many equal parts? It would be 3 1/3. And what do I get? 1/27. And I have started with a fraction. I'll end with a fraction. So I want you to finish all of these, please. And writing it as a multiplication fact. If you have to draw a picture, awesome too. Just talk to this one with your partner on how this works. Okay, we'll skip this page for now. I would like you to do all of these except for number 15. They're just, so all you have to do is write the multiplication fact that's going to help you, sentence that is going to help you figure out a division. Do 1 or 2 and all of the rest. I think you're going to start understanding that when you divide, I don't like to divide fractions, so I would rather multiply because multiplying is easier for me. You're going to find that if you look at it as a multiplication problem, it will be a lot easier.